Hi, I'm Yelena, and welcome to Confetti Conversations, a new interview series where we mix heartfelt dialogue with confetti play breaks to celebrate the beautiful mess of being human. This series was born from the Confetti Project, something that I started 10 years ago as a photography challenge, asking people the simple question, what do you celebrate? Over the years, it's grown into something deeper where joy and grief can coexist. And so this series is a continuation of that mission, where we hold space for the messy, magical in-between moments of being human. Today's guest is my friend, Rachel Hislop, writer, creative, and one of the most intentional voices that I know. Today we talk about our inner critics, the journey back to our childhood selves, and the pursuit of inner freedom. This is for anyone that has a tendency to take life a little too seriously, or is obsessed with work or productivity, and forgets to have fun along the way. Welcome to your new favorite playdate. So let's start from the beginning. What was Rachel like as a child?
You know what's so funny is that I always joke and say that I've always been who I am. Like I've always been very much like super girly, always wanted to wear like the frilly things that were like pink with the glitters, and like everything was an adventure. Everything was like an opportunity to like have a little fun. And I was also very stubborn and just like not interested in what other kids had going on because I really wanted to know what the adults had going on. I loved like watching my mom get dressed up to go to parties. Like I wanted to go be a social adult too. Like I've always been who I am now, but it was that weird in between of like adolescence that was very not fun. Mm-hmm. And now that I'm like inside of my 30s, it feels like I am that Rachel again. It's taken a lot of like exploration and unlearning and unknowing to get back to her. It's just been me. I've always known what I've wanted my life to look like, how I wanted to present in the world, and I get to live that every day, and it's like kind of cool. It's very freeing. It's very freeing to just get to be who I wanted to be when I was little.
So I'm curious, like, what was that? Like, you talked about like that middle, that messy middle. Like, what were things that disconnected you from yourself?
I will tell you the voice in my head. Her name is Rhonda. I've told you about Rhonda before, and I've had to learn about Rhonda to get back to who I am, right? And so I think I always equated freedom with money and like having financial stability so that I could be who I wanted to be in the world. I was never like a little girl who dreamt of like a big wedding and babies and all this stuff. I just wanted to be an adult and be like in the world making my own decisions. Mm-hmm. And the way that I thought I would get to that was like through having like the freedom that came with money. And then I was like, well, to get money, I have to have a good career and work really hard at that career. And I was super, almost like obsessed with this idea of like independence. And that's been an interesting journey. And in that, I think that pursuit was so single-minded that I forgot about why I was doing it, and that I was doing it so that I could be little Rachel forever, right? I think we all do some version of that. You know, when people talk about like midlife crises, like stereotypically for men being like driving their drop top convertible and, you know, getting the cool sunglasses. It's like, those are just the toys that they played with when they were young. And I think that there is a healthy version of that we can all coming home to ourselves. And so along the way, this very singular path, Rhonda was very present, kind of like acting as this little Velcro to like take in all of the bad things that people would say to me, or like assumptions that I had about myself or my inadequacies. Like Rhonda was like, yeah, thanks. I'll hold on to all of that. And Rachel, the true me, like, and I truly believe that we are like not all of our thoughts. The true me was kind of thinking that Rhonda's point of view was me, and like that all of those voices were one. And it took a lot of therapy, a lot of journaling, a lot of like learning the patterns of those negative thoughts to be able to separate them, to be able to separate. That's why I had to name her. Like, Rhonda, you are over here. I can legit, like, I know her patterns. I know what things kind of like stir her up. So it took a lot of separating Rhonda and her patterns and her voices from Rachel and what Rachel thought and believed, and being able to identify the difference and say like, oh, actually, that's not my voice that's saying that. That's not my voice that's telling me that I'm not enough, or that I'm inadequate, or that I'm not working hard enough, or that's being really mean to me. Like, my voice is in there somewhere a little quieter, and I need to practice building that up. And that in between, that process of identifying Rhonda, because she was kind of like robbing me from like the fun and the play of life. Once I was able to make the distinction, I think it became really easy to quiet her and hear, you know, me again. Like, when we're kids, we don't have as many insecurities and thoughts. Like, we just are who we are. There is something that's important about staying connected to that part of ourselves. And that's that in between of like, life isn't all about being productive and working. You can do that and you can love it and you can care about it and you can take pride in it, but you can also make room for fun and enjoyment and like adding a little shenanigan to every week and giving yourself something to look forward to. And you can be serious in the places that you need to be serious and still be playful in the places that you need to be playful.
Are you ready to play with confetti?
Let's do it. I'm always ready to play with confetti. I always feel so much lighter after these. It's like, no matter what is going on in your day, you play in some confetti and everything is fun every time. So it's like meditation mixed with a rec room. So you're kind of throwing things, but it's meditative and you're receiving it. And it feels really good and relaxing on the body. I love a confetti session.
So how do you navigate hard things and just have a role in that?
Ooh. I feel like my life has mostly been hard things, and that's like the norm. Like, I'm always navigating really hard things, or like feeling like I'm like running in mud and I'm like, this is really difficult all the time. Why? I will say that like I've learned that like morning always comes. I love a sunset. I love a sunrise. It was like something that I started doing during the pandemic, is like, if I can see the sunset, I want to, because that is the one constant. Like, it'll happen and the day will end, and whatever it is, it's hard, it feels really difficult in the moment, that sunset will distance me from it. And like every sunset, I'm like further away from the thing that felt very hard or very hurtful. So I think just the concept of time and understanding that it, like the cliche of time heals, like nothing is going to be forever. And if this is hard for me now and difficult for me now, it will never be as hard as it is the first time. Like, I will have like built a muscle, I will have a better toolkit, and I can do hard things in an easier way. And that is really just how I navigate it, by trusting that I have gone through enough hard shit to have the tools to handle new hard things. And sometimes that means just like not taking things so serious and just finding a moment to take a breath or use play to kind of like escape into a different place.
What is your relationship with duality, especially when you're going through like what I call the sticky, messy middle of something, like when things feel really dense? Because I think the biggest thing, at least what I found with confetti for the past 10 years, is like people come in here and they're like, this is fun, this is cute, this is happy, right? It's comfortable. But people have found, they've expanded their relationship to discomfort in the confetti, because they're like, oh wait, this anger is coming up, or this grief is coming up, and I can hold both of these things, right? I can hold joy and sorrow at the same time. And I think that's like a relatively new concept for society, that like it's not this or this, it's like it could be this and this.
That is a really good question. I have experienced kind of the transformation of confetti that you're talking about, where you come into the room, there's kind of like some skepticism, then you are like, all right, I'll open myself up to this a little bit, and then you can't help but be immersed, and then on the other end you're like, oh my God, I'm so happy I did that, right? And I think that that is like the approach that we need to take with, or that I try to take with hard things. My therapist calls it like living in the stretch zone. So always being like, you're not quite in your comfort zone, you're not uncomfortable yet, but you're in that space of growth between those zones. Mm-hmm. So I think that the duality of life is that, like, always trying to extend myself into the stretch zone and understand that if I let a little bit in, even if it's uncomfortable or like hard or ugly, that there might be something that helps me stretch or grow on the other end of that. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you just get tired of learning lessons too. Like sometimes you just get tired, and you're like, I don't want to evolve. I don't want to grow. I don't want to learn anything new. Like I am self-developed out. Like I need a break. Like I'm good on this. Yeah. And those moments are also present, right? Where I'm like, actually, this just sucks and I'm just going to let it suck. Mm-hmm. Or this is nice and I'm just going to let this be really nice right now. You said something earlier about like impermanence. And I think that that is also something that I try to connect to. I was like doing this meditation in Central Park, and it was like a silent meditation, and we all had headphones on, and there was like a guy playing the piano, and all of these strangers were just like laying on the blankets, and at the end he called this woman up, and like anyone who wanted to share what they experienced during the meditation. And the woman got up there and said that her husband had asked her for a divorce before they were supposed to come to this event together. He'd asked her for a divorce. She came anyway. And then the next thing that she shared was like, you can either have your heart broken by everything, or you can just attach to the impermanence of life and understand that everything, whether it is joy or hurt or sorrow, that all of it is impermanent, and like allow yourself to flow with those changes. And I think about that all the time when it comes to duality, right? Like this is here and this is hurting, or this is happy, or whatever it is, and you can enjoy it fully in the moment, but then like detach from the idea that it needs to be forever or that it will be forever, and just like trust in the impermanence of literally everything that we go through in life.
This is one of my favorite topics that you stumbled upon, so I'm just gonna go for it. Like mortality, right? I think that the more someone experiences suffering and pain and loss, the more that they are able to connect to that.
And I think I love talking about mortality because it's the only thing that's promised. Love and death are the true destabilizers of humanity, right? Like every superhero movie, that's like always the thing that gets them, right? It's like trying to save the person they love, or like mourning some great loss in their life, right? It's the human thing that we can't grasp. And there is something that is just so interesting about that. There's also something about that keeps us human. I don't know how we would be as a species if everything was forever, if we didn't like truly value this time. It's the one promised thing, and it's the thing that keeps us mortal.
Do you think that also on top of ego, it's fear too?
A lot of us don't take time to like sit with ourselves and to face ourselves long enough to ask questions about like who they are and what they desire and what life looks like for them. So to think about mortality, knowing that you haven't even spent enough time to like consider what your time on this earth is for, like what are we here to do? And if enough of us took time to really sit down with ourselves and our thoughts and stopped running from our minds, then you know, you even found a name, made peace with Rhonda, like, you know what I mean? Then you could really ask yourself some bigger questions about what this all means, and realize that like even in the years that we have, that we believe we have left in our life expectancy, think about how much time you need just to sleep. Right? And then like how much time you need to eat and bathe and do other things to like sustain yourself. And then the amount of living that we're actually going to do is a lot shorter. And why spend that doing anything that you don't want to do at all, ever?
The very, very final thing is the final confetti throw.
Like any way you want?
Whatever you want. Ready, set, go. Maybe a hug. Thank you so much to watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, please share, comment, like, subscribe. It really goes such a long way. Thank you.